Do the things. Wait. Go live. I said go live.
I said, damn it.
Like fighting with technology
Yeah.
is my everyday existence, it seems. Give a few minutes for all of our friends to find and join us. Hello, hello.
Oh, this book is so cute.
I love all the alerts. Hang on, we're telling more friends.
Angry to
Hello, guys. See a few strolling in. Hey, Karen.
Hi,
We're just
Karen.
waiting for a few more friends because we always hear like just bullshit a little bit longer, so notifications come in.
Like,
So
okay,
that's what
we'll
we're trying to
listen.
do.
We'll listen to you.
But we are, we mostly poor Emily over there. She's going to do most of the talking on elemental witchcraft while I monitor all the screens and let her know when we have questions.
Yeah.
So if anybody has questions to start while we wait for more friends to jump in, feel free to go ahead and put them in there. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Amy.
Hello, everyone. This is such a cool book.
Have you not looked through that one yet before?
I did, but I'm finding more things that
That you like?
Yeah, that I didn't really realize the first time. So yeah, this is cool.
No.
Yeah, now I'm really
Never mind. This one's not available.
Yeah, right.
It.
Just kidding. The amount of times that me and Ash are like, Melissa, just order 4 of those books because the 2 that you got, we're just gonna snack.
We're taking those home. Right. Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Going over some elemental witchcraft today. Right, Emily. Right, you missed Woo Woo Wednesday. Yeah, so we're starting to do some paranormal discussions in the morning with local hunter and author Richie. And since Emily is cornered here and cannot run away, was thinking of like snagging her maybe on some of those discussions because she likes paranormal investigations as well. I
sure do. And we were even thinking about kind of partnering with Richie a little bit and maybe like investigating some locations. So if anyone would be interested in that, just kind of like let us know just so we can kind of gauge like the interest level. But I always think it's really cool to have sensitive people and mediums and readers go with the hunting too, because sometimes they just go and rile everything up and then like don't actually like communicate or hear what they want or anything like that. So it could be pretty cool. So
yeah, and then we still do the readings and stuff in the evenings at 7.
Yeah.
So Woo Woo Wednesday is continuing, slightly different in the morning, but
still spooky.
Still spooky and ghosty, just slightly different. My face is still there, but you know, some other faces.
Yeah.
But so Emily is going to go over some elemental witchcraft. Wow, words on today. Witchcraft. Never mind the misspelling that I see up in the top. Ignore that extra R.
I don't know who did that.
It's really a T. That R identifies as a T.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so just kind of, obviously, for those who don't know, the elements I'm going to be talking about are fire, air, water, earth, and then the 5th element kind of in magic, that's spirit, that some people kind of include and some don't. A lot of the time people talk about having like one representation of each element like on your altar itself, which I think is a good way to kind of just honor the earth in that way when you're doing rituals and stuff. But mainly I use the elemental witchcraft for like scrying, things like that, as well as just kind of using them in spell work, right? Because think about how some spells will tell you to burn something, some tell you to put it in a stream or run it underwater, some might say to bury it, and others say to kind of blow it in the wind. So those are kind of the ways I bring the elements into my practice personally. But I also do have like a cup of water and incense or candles, things like that, to like represent all the elements on my altar. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is this book here. It's called Elements of Magic. I'm going to kind of pan it so everyone can see
Hold it down more.
like this.
Yes. And
Okay.
a little bit more. There we go.
So this is called Elements of Magic, and it says reclaiming earth, air, fire, water, spirit. The thing that I really liked is, first of all, just the word reclaiming is cool because it's talking about how we all kind of own those elements and utilize them, and this is kind of making them work for us. But it's not just, this really is just like a witchcraft book too, because it talks about using the elements to do all of these different things. So it's not just like a really monotonous book of explaining what earth is, what water is, what air is. Like we all know those things. It's talking about utilizing them. And the words they're using here is like reclaiming tradition, because obviously that is a very, probably the most traditional use of witchcraft is using the elements. So let me see if I could find what I was looking for. So it talks about how all the elements are sacred, which of course we all know that. But one thing too they say is how you can honor earth by connecting to the spirits of the land and connecting to the earth that like you live on. So I don't care if you live in downtown Cleveland or if you live like, out in the country here. Either way, there's still land spirits that you're going to want to connect with and honor. And then in turn, you're honoring just the earth in general. A lot of people will use like recycling, cleaning up the earth, things like that as ways to honor the earth and care for it as well. Let me see if I can find.
What's the name of that book again?
This is called Elements of Magic, and that's by, Jane Meredith. And I'm going to say this wrong, but I think it's Jeed Parma. I'm sorry if Jeed is listening and I butchered your name. But it talks about sacred sound and stuff. And that's the other thing, too, that's so interesting. It's like sound. That's also kind of honoring the air element, right? Because that is kind of where the waves are traveling. That's where we're going to hear it. You could, even when you're showering, taking a bath, you're honoring water. So working with those, making them work for you. This book has a ton. Let me see if I could find. Okay, this was the one I really liked. So this was, again, to kind of honor earth, and it talks about a meditation that's about a rotting body. Is funny and maybe not inviting as that sounds. It's developed from the Buddhist Marana Sati, or the mindfulness of death. So that concept. And it's talking about basically become aware of your breathing, softening, all of that, and literally picture yourself like rotting and becoming one with the earth. First of all, that might take away some of the fear we have around death and things like that, but also that's our way of just having that connectedness with the earth. I really like that this book isn't so fluffy and like frou-frou kind of magic, like it's an elemental book, but it's talking about some kind of in-depth stuff here. So definitely would recommend that. Again, the cover is really visually appealing just in general. But this book, and just like the ones I described are for earth, they have these for all of them, including spirit. So definitely suggest this book. One of the things I want to talk about too is like the pentagram or pentacle that's like with the circle around it. And some people call this like the witch's star. That's because each point on the star is going to represent one of the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, spirit. Other people take that one step further and have it as, I'm going to have to remember, to dare to go to, I'm going to mess this up now that I'm talking about it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it in the right order, so I'm not going to try. But there is the concept, too, of the star is each point on your manifestation cycle, right? So to dare is to let yourself dream of what you want, to really, like, take action. Then there's to be silent, which is just kind of letting things work out. But that pentacle describes those 5 elements. So it's supposed to be very protective, but also just bringing kind of witchcraft to you. So a lot of people just wear it as like an identification of being a witch. You don't have to align with that symbolism, though, in order to be one either. So this next book is Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. This is by Scott Cunningham. A lot of people really like his books. He's a very traditional kind of author. as far as witchcraft goes. And there's some really cool ones. Like I just opened it, and it's actually one of my favorite spells in this book. It's a stone banishing ritual, right? So this is obviously working with earth. Create a symbol of the habit that you want to be banished. Even like a teardrop would be suitable for grief, it says. Padlock for inertia, self-restriction. So something that symbolizes what it is that you're trying to get rid of. And then you're going to grab 50 stones, it says. Could be river rocks, tumbled stones. Obviously, don't be throwing your favorite crystals in there. Divide them in half. With one half, you're going to put the symbol of the habit. Okay, and then let's see. And then it says to say this: I let you take control of me. That's talking about the stones that you want, right? The things you're trying to bring in. The other ones, as you put it into the river, you're going to say banish, 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 be. So again, using the element as a kind of way to, first of all, that's actually earth and water being mixed in there, right? But it's called sympathetic magic. You're doing something, you're using that thing as a symbol of what you're trying to get rid of. You could, some people like suggest writing up a letter, writing up what it is that you want and burning it. So that's another way of elemental magic. So like normally the way I see it is fire is like action, right? That's quick moving. That's when you want something done like right now. Maybe you would burn some ingredients, burn a letter. Water is very healing, but also has some force too. So I might use water if I'm trying to really heal myself, and then also just make some changes in movement, but steadily, right? Earth is stable and grounding. So I would use earth if I'm trying to ground myself, if I'm trying to make sure that I'm rooted in my being and connected to the earth. And then air is very much about like mentality and how you think. And it is quick moving too, but not as like destructive as fire. So when I'm trying to change a habit or bring out a new way of thinking, I might call upon the element of air. But yeah, this book, very, very good. Again, really traditional author too. So a lot of people kind of stand by what he says, and that might be good if you're kind of feeling like you're just dipping your toes in a little bit. Also, I want to talk about incense really quick. So incense are a way to honor fire, first of all, because you have to light them, but also honoring air because of the smoke that it gives off, right? So let's see, we have some incense here that are earth, fire, water, and air. They all smell amazing. The packaging is really, really cool because it's got the elemental symbols on there. So that might be a good thing to have if you're really trying to work with a specific element, and that might be the incense that you want to burn on your altar while you're doing it.
So Richie, speaking of, we were just
Hello,
talking
Richie.
about him, says he picks up a random rock when I'm hiking and focus connecting my issues and cast it in a river and always feel 100 pounds lighter.
I love that. Yeah, that's kind of what he was saying. I don't know why he said 50. I'm like, Scott, like that's a lot of rocks,
yeah.
You know? You could totally just do that with the one. I really like how you said that and it's cool because you're hiking too. So you're kind of already doing that and you're recharging yourself in nature. And then, you know, like you said, kind of focusing your problems into that rock and casting it aside. For me, I really, really heal from water and earth. Those are like my two elements for sure. So like I would stand barefoot in a stream and just kind of let the water run over me and picture it taking all of my problems away as it runs over me and cleanses me. And then, you know, you want to go into, there's all different types of spirits for each element too, which is something that the longer you're practicing, kind of you'll discover, right? But river spirits are a really popular one. You know, proceed with caution with some of the stuff that you're doing, but with water, and that's very, very healing for me. And again, like what Richie was saying, that's mixing the two elements. They're of course going to work together.
Mm-hmm. So he's like, and I love hugging trees.
Yes, that's what Maria told me. She goes, just sit by a tree and have your back up against it or hug it and just tell it your problems. And, you know, I tell my son to do that a lot because we have like one big tree in our backyard that's like become our friend at this point. And so he does that. I'm going to show a couple of the things that you might use like to have those elements on your altar. So this one is a chalice. Some people drink from these, like if you're like me, I leave it out like way too long and probably wouldn't want to drink out of it. This is just for me to represent the water and have it on my altar. I love these burners. They're typically, I think, supposed to be used for resin and charcoal, but you could burn cone incense and herbs and stuff in here too. It's totally fine.
Little mini despachos.
Yeah. And first of all, I just love that it looks so like traditional and cool. I feel very fancy when I have it.
Well, and if you tend to be accident prone and catch yourself on fire,
Yeah.
or burn yourself,
Who does that?
there's a handle.
Yeah,
For
the
safety
handle is
reasons.
very nice. Definitely did not catch myself on fire. If you any customer who's met me knows I'm lying because I always at least once knock something over. But yeah, this would be the incense burner, good way to have that's fire and air kind of on your altar.
Keep an eye on you.
Yeah, you gotta always watch me. This is a deck we have called the Healing Waters Oracle. This is a fairly new deck from her, at least new to us. I'm not sure exactly when it was printed, but I don't think it's been out for that long. This Rebecca Campbell, you probably recognize her, like the style of the deck, because she's very, very popular, especially with the Starseed Oracle. A lot of people really, really like her. I like this deck specifically because this is the Healing Waters. So first of all, this is just perpetuating that idea that water is healing. It recharges us, and it's very like calm and peaceful. But I think it's awesome that she kind of has all these different ways that water's represented. So one thing that it says, she who flows, cosmic ocean. Like it's so many different iterations of that element. So yeah, this deck would be awesome for somebody that really wants to connect with water. Water signs, people who just need a little bit of healing in their lives, or people who like Rebecca Campbell's other decks probably would really like this one. I know my coworker, y'all probably know her if you come in, but Eileen likes Rebecca Campbell a lot, and this is kind of her style as far as reading. The other thing, I can't fully explain it without it being open, but there's a way that you use the box itself to like do a reading and set your cards up in a certain position. That's unique in a way because not a lot of decks do that. So there's like a specific way to read those ones. This is a deck we have, Earth Wisdom. So obviously this is going to focus on that element of earth. On the back, you can see a lot of, first of all, beautiful imagery, just nature scenes and everything like that. But some of the cards are really, first of all, intuitive, right? So divine light, like we all know what that is. Understanding, but each one's going to show a really pretty earthy scene. So that would help you connect with the earth, maybe help you feel grounded and just safe. This one too, the Water Temple Oracle. So water seems to be one that a lot of people focus on with the decks and stuff, mainly because it's with like healing, and then also intuition and stuff normally goes along with water. So makes sense that more oracle decks would be made of that. But this one specifically, the imagery is like gorgeous. And what I do, I'll Google the name of a deck and like go to Google Images, and it should be able to show you, what exactly it looks like, all the different cards. That helps me to kind of decide, what I want to get and what I don't. We have these crystals here. Looks like a aventurine, some calcite, sodalite, and amethyst. And this has the elemental symbols on each one of these. So if you wanted to focus on a certain element for the day, you could put that one in your pocket, putting it on your altar, using it in spell work. There's a lot of different ways that you can use these. The other thing too is you can always reuse them, okay? Like let's say I use the fire one for a spell that had to do with courage or motivation. And then after a couple weeks, I feel like it did its thing and served its purpose. It's not like I can't ever use that again. And that goes for any crystal in general. A lot of people have that misconception. If you just cleanse it and just, use it again in other spell work, it will do just fine. You don't have to like have one specific one only for that. Let's
Yeah, those are so neat. I mean, you can use them in so many ways. Wear them as jewelry, keep them in your pocket, add them to spell working.
Yes, and I like that it includes spirit in there too.
Use them in healing ritual.
Oh yeah, that's even something I didn't even consider. But yeah, the crystal healing and stuff. Like, I wish Seven was here so I could just talk to her about it, because she's the one I think of with the crystal healing. But yes, I really think everyone could benefit from these crystals, these stones. Now, if you didn't want to get one like this, specifically the carvings on it, we do also have little baggies of crystals for each specific element. We're actually out of air right now, but if you were interested in that, we could totally make an air bag up for you really quick, so that you could get it. But this one's for water. These are only $15, which is really a good price if you see how all the crystals we have back there. Plus it comes with a little like written out card in there for what each one is and what it does. So like we've got like lapis, pink opal, rose quartz, sardonyx, jade. Notice that a lot of these moonstone as well are about clairvoyance and also like emotional healing, just like water.
Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Hitting all the hearts for me. In TikTok. The TikTok. The Instagram.
This one is for Earth. So these are going to be more crystals that are very stable and grounding. Like, let's see, we've got jet, there's aventurine, which is obviously green, but petrified wood, tiger's eye. So very more strong and stoic type of energy with those crystals. We have for fire. This one has, let's see, obsidian, red jasper, bloodstone, carnelian. So those are going to be the ones that are going to want you to get up and go. We all could probably use some of that. Honorary mention for fire quartz too. It's pretty obvious, but that one I associate with fire a lot as well. And then if you wanted to just do one for your altar that represents like all 5 of the elements, this one has all 5. Oops, it's upside down in there. We have onyx for water, kyanite for air, selenite for spirit, patch of tears for earth, and citrine for fire. This one is really visually appealing in my opinion, but that would be a good way to kind of have a crystal that represents each element. I didn't see aquamarine in any of those, but if you want to work with water, pretty obvious that aquamarine would be a good one to use. It's very, very healing. I've heard some people say that it actually helps with like physical pain. Larimar is another one that I associate with water a lot, as well as Caribbean calcite, and those have helped me with physical pain as well. Obviously, I'm not suggesting like not to go to a doctor, like go to the doctor and also use the crystals along with that. But as far as just managing pain with like chronic illness and stuff, it does help with that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and aquamarine too helps instill patience with others. I'm like, that's why I was born in March.
Yeah, we could all use that. That's for sure. This is just another little stepping stone I brought up. So this is a pentacle as well. This is the triple moon symbol on it, which I think associate the moon. I hope I'm like moving this well that y'all can see it, but I'm trying my best here.
Sammy's like, I just need more get up and go. Right? Yeah, that fire set would
yes.
be like the crystal equivalent of caffeine.
Yes, literally. Anything like, especially carnelian. Like whenever someone's like, I just don't have the motivation, or I don't feel passionate, I don't feel that spark, I'm like, that's carnelian right there. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to touch on with the elements is that each tarot suit also corresponds with a different element, and they totally make sense once you hear which ones are which.
Maybe
right?
We should do it live on some tarot spell casting.
I would love that, because I use tarot cards in pretty much every ritual I do, to be honest. Like, because I think there is a card that can kind of represent each situation that you want, and also situation you want to manifest. Like, mm-hmm. We were just talking with Nick, who's one of our readers here. He's like, I really need a card. I said, yeah, lay that chariot card out and when you're doing your spell work, but yeah, so each tarot suit has to go with a different element. So like cups is water, which has to do with intuition, relationships, the way you emotionally kind of interact with others and with yourself. That's water. You have wands, which is fire. That's more about action, quick moving, things like that. Motivation, again, that we talked about. So that's all going to be wands. Pentacles is about the material world around you. So your job, your finances, your home life, things like that. That's going to be pentacles. That's earth. And air is swords. So swords are kind of the, I guess, suit in tarot that would probably represent conflict out of all of them. Reason for that being is it is the suit of like communication and also the way that we think. When we think about how we can have conflict with other people, those are typically going to be the things that are causing the issues, right? It's either our perception or a communication issue. So swords are having to do with that. They represent air. Incorporating the tarot and the elements and all of that into your spell work can really help you to just expand a little bit in your craft. It's important to me, I think, to honor all of the elements. I'm not one that always has all of them on my altar. I don't always like follow every rule like that. But when I'm doing spell work, I do tend to at least use one of them that corresponds to like what it is that I'm trying to do. So
Amy's like, I need some get up and go. I lost mine.
Yeah.
And Sandy's like, I'm all for tarot spell casting, and you may actually get me into reading tarot.
Woohoo! The thing, it's so funny because it is funny to see how some people like really, really gravitate towards tarot, and then other people are like, absolutely not. Like, I want oracle. Or you have some like me who kind of read both, and for different reasons, you know. I like the structure of tarot. There are definitely times though where, yeah, oracle might just be a little bit easier for me, and especially for reading for yourself. Sometimes tarot can get like a little bit tough, just because there's so many interpretations, and it's kind of easy to interpret it in the way that benefits you. Exactly. So sometimes that's why us readers tend to go to other readers too, because we're like, I'm having a blind spot right now. Like, I need some assistance. But pretty much and also too, it's important to recognize that in so many different practices, this is probably one of the main staples is the elemental witchcraft, or using the elements in magic. That is done in pretty much every practice. And I think that's really cool that there's like that golden thread kind of connecting all of them together, and that basic truth that is true for all of us. And also it's pretty intuitive too. Like, I don't really need to follow instructions when I want to like light something on fire. Like, I'm just going to do it. Like,
so I have to tell people to take wrappers off candles.
Well, of course, like, let's say common sense, please don't burn your house down. But as far as like, I don't need a lot of direction for that. Same with like water. Like, it's pretty intuitive that if I'm going to use a river for something, I'm just going to put it in the river, you know? It kind of does that stuff for you as long as your intention is behind it. So
Amy, she says, I need a water and a fire. If you want, we can set one of each aside for you. I think you're local, if I remember right. Hey, E-Room, thank you for stopping.
Hello.
Some love. Hopefully your hand's feeling better. You're doing good.
Oh, I forgot to say too, one of the things I really like to do, if you didn't want to get one of these little baggies, a lot of us like can help you if you come into the store. But if I'm trying to, like, you could get a bigger cage. I wish I would have brought one with me and I didn't, but a larger like jewelry cage that you can open up and kind of put different crystals in there, and maybe have one that's representing earth, one that's fire, one that's water, one that's air, and one that's spirit if you want to, right? And kind of pairing different crystals together for that specific purpose. Or you could get one and put 5 crystals in there that represent each element and kind of make your own little necklace. The reason I say that is because sometimes there are specific crystals that you might gravitate towards, and it might be special for you to kind of pick out specific ones that you want. But these are really, really great because this is tried and true, right? These are the traditional crystals that are used for that element. And I do really like how it has the explanation on the back. Like I was talking about carnelian. And it says, awakens creativity and confidence, promotes happiness, courage, and the vital life force needed to accomplish greatness. So we all could use some of that, right? I literally, anytime someone says they have the motivation issue, I go for carnelian. But that's also going to be like red coral. Like I said, fire quartz.
How much are the kits? And
These-
Karen, I'm going to go grab an option for you real quick that we will talk about.
Awesome.
In the meantime.
So these elemental kits are, it looks like 20 for these guys. So $20 for the elemental kits, as well as the crystals for your altar. You could put them in like a little dish. Like we have these selenite bowls that you could put them in on your altar that will kind of charge those crystals up for you. And just to show y'all again, in case somebody popped on, these are the other ones that we have that it represents the 5 elements. And then it also has like the symbol on there. And each crystal that they picked is also relative to the element that it's describing. So it's not just like a random gemstone that's on there. It is that specific crystal. So, but yeah, I guess let me think of another. One of the elemental like things that I like for witchcraft that I like to do is like on a really, really windy day, on a day that I kind of need cleansed, or I'm just like needing some change, or I want to banish some negativity, I'll stand outside when it's really, really windy and kind of picture it taking away all of that stress, all of that energy that I've built up. I'm sure y'all have probably heard about earthing, which is like walking barefoot in the grass, walking barefoot on the earth. A lot of people actually believe that it, I'm going to not say this right, but neutralizes, like it recharges you basically. Similar to what they say like Himalayan pink salt lamps do, right? But the positive ions and the negative ions, and it helps your body to just work the way that it's supposed to. We weren't always supposed to really have like shoes on our feet in the way that we aren't so connected to the earth now. Same thing, like I said before, about putting your feet in a stream or a pond or in the ocean or whatever feels right to you, whatever body of water you have access to. It could be a kiddie pool for all I care. But focusing on it healing you. When I do like the shower or bath rituals, I picture that water soaking up all the negativity, dis-ease, and not just disease like physical illness, but just dis-ease, things that are not flowing continuously in my body. Take that energy, and as it goes down the drain, it's taking that negativity with it. So that's a free ritual that you can do at home that will kind of help you work with that water element. I'm going to see if y'all are commenting really quick because I don't have Melissa here to make sure. What would be a good option to remove negativity out of an older couple's home? Okay. So as far as that question that you asked, it depends on if you're talking about just negative energy in general or an entity, but the way you're saying it, I'm thinking you're talking about just negativity. So they can't burn sage now, probably I'm assuming due to some kind of like breathing issues. So if they can't burn sage, we do make a white sage spray that you could use to help them cleanse their home. Seeing if you can get every corner, and cleanse it. You could also even try like salt water if even the smell of the sage would be too much for them, but that's probably what I would recommend.
So another good one that we have option for burning sage. Those that are our Marianne friends, this is not necessarily validated by Marianne, but other psychic mediums who have seen this happen. We carry what's called the crystal tuning fork. The fork itself is $30. And what you do with this is you lightly tap it off of a crystal, and that frequency has been known to fling out earthbound spirits and cleanse the energy. So these are 30. We have a lot of college students or kids who are starting college who are not allowed to burn things. Use these for their dorm rooms. So you can literally kind of walk around your house
That is so
and
cool.
just kind of do this in every room and, kind of go around the room doing that. but it's the crystal tuning fork. You can bounce it off just about any crystal, and I say just about because you want to make sure there's a flat edge because you don't want to damage your points and your sides.
Also, like, don't take a selenite and like whack that as hard as you can gently.
Yeah, and as you see, it's just a light little tap. You don't need to murder the fork or the crystal. But we have a couple of these left in stock, and when I went to go get, I'm like, oh, yep, got to put in another order. So these are $30 each. There is another set called the Angel Tuners. There are 3 forks, one of which is the crystal. The other 2 are frequencies to help with angelic realms. So, so technically, like that crystal fork is considered an angel fork because in the Angel Tuners, it's one of the 3. But
so interesting. You're selling now. I'm glad I'm listening to this because first of all, I know how to talk to you guys when you come in about it.
But yeah, the crystal tuning fork, and like I said, they're $30. They are metal, made by MetaVibe. This is a company whose forks hold integrity. There are some others that sometimes like, ooh, look, they're cheaper, and I'm like, yeah. Then in about a year and a half, they no longer carry that same frequency because they start degrading and losing. But MetaVibe holds it for like years. So unless you damage the fork somehow, like it will always vibrate at that frequency. So it'll always work. But yeah, we've got the crystal tuners. And that being said, we have tuners for every chakra. We have chakra sets. You can buy them separately. And maybe we need to do another whole live just on tuning forks.
Yeah, probably, because that is super interesting. I didn't realize, like, I knew we had options, but dang.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Jay's like, that's the sound my guide sends. So yeah. So those higher pitched ones, especially in the angel one, some people are like, I hear that all the time before I get downloads, before I get messages, and they are that frequency.
Oh.
So, but one of our psychic mediums, who I will not name unless they want to name themselves later in the live when we ask them to talk about it, was at a spiritual place in New York. I'll let your mind figure that one out. And was sitting in one of the little hotels and was just watching, spirits, earthbounds go rampant, kind of causing problems, and just started playing with this fork. And every time they'd hit that fork, like they were kind of like ushered out of the room.
Yeah, and that makes sense with the sound clearing, but that would be even more like irritating for them almost, right?
So, but that's one thing you can use in your house since you aren't unable to burn anymore. So there's a lot to be said for sound. There are the sprays. The sprays take a lot more to work because they go out and down, whereas the smoke kind of
gets every corner.
Yeah. So sprays are good more for like people, not big areas, but if that's what you have.
Yeah, and that's what you have to. I'll do like salt water sometimes, but again, really having like the herbs or things specifically meant for it can definitely make it easier for you. Also, as far as physical capabilities, like it's a lot to wipe your whole house down with salt water every 2 weeks too, not just once. It's a lot. So definitely this tuning fork sounds like it would be a good much less physically taxing thing for y'all to do.
This one is a smaller fork, right? It's easy to store somewhere.
Yeah.
Now there's like the ohm fork, which is a lower vibrational, and if you get a weighted one, like that one is really, I'm not usually a fan of tuning forks or bowls. I don't like high pitched noises, but the ohm fork is a lower frequency. And when it's weighted, when you have that one get started, you can use the handle part and like put that in a sore muscle on the back or something, and it will help like almost act as a massager for it. And I'm like, ooh, I like that one. But that one is a longer fork because the longer the tines, the deeper the sound is. So these short, cute little forks are going to have that really high to, some of us, annoying sound, but that high pitch.
Now, would you always, I don't know if this is a silly question because I'm not super familiar with like the tuning forks as much as I am other stuff, but do you always tap it against a crystal, or can you? For the crystal tuner,
to do that,
what about the other ones?
So other ones, you can tap depending on the tines. Softly, like on the heel of your hand or the side of a knee. Some people will use hockey pucks, but what you will find sometimes is like people will hit those hard enough to where the tines smack one another, and that's when you start ruining the fork and you're throwing off the frequency because those tines should not touch.
It's just like the singing bowls. Like you don't have to whack it that hard to like
you don't
get
need
it
to
to
murder
go.
the fork or the bowl to
Okay.
get it to do what it's supposed
Just
to
out of
do.
curiosity. That way, if somebody asks me, now I know.
Yeah,
So.
like a light, delicate tap on the bony part of the hand by the wrist, the side of the knee, or like I said, hockey puck. But you can use the crystal tuner on any crystal.
Yeah.
So it just needs to have a flat side so you're not damaging, your crystal, unless you like do not care and whack it, I don't care. But most of us don't want to ruin the edge of a pyramid, of a point, of a tower.
No.
A sphere, be careful on your sphere.
Yeah.
Especially if you tend to hit harder than you should.
Spirits or something while you're using the crystal tuner. Just do a little
Don't take it out on the tuning fork of the crystal. So the fork or the sprays, the mists. But I think the fork, unless there is mobility issues of getting room to room. But yeah, you can literally, like the same amount of time of walking around the house with a sage stick, just with the tuning fork.
Right. And to be honest, the fork is probably more affordable at the end of the day than the sprays because of how much spray you'd have to buy to keep using,
Buy one fork, it'll last you forever as long as you don't lose it.
And it doesn't smell like anything. So because sometimes people really are like sensitive to smells, and that's part of their struggle with cleansing because it's like it's not just the smoke, having to do with like respiratory issues, but also just like the smell of things. A lot of neurodivergent people have like sensory issues. People really don't like the smell of sage, or don't want to use it for other reasons. So the tuning fork can definitely be a good substitute for that. And you can do it as much as you want too, which is nice. So it's not like a one-time thing. It's like every night if you feel like you want to use it, go ahead.
I mean, and honestly, like if you're at work, like you're probably going to get away with using that at work.
Oh yeah.
Than you will a smudge spray or something, because you can just like sit there at your desk and be like, ting.
Ting. Yeah, everyone leave me alone. Like, oh, that was my phone. I don't know what.
That boss just like ripped you apart for stupid reasons. Just, ting.
Ting, goodbye. Create your own little sacred space at your desk, right?
Yeah, it's less obvious maybe than like burning sage after that, troublesome coworker.
Yeah.
It's less like
throwing salt at them. Just
unless you don't care if they see you do it. But if you guys have any questions, all right, Ewan, thanks for stopping and watching. I think we're getting ready to wrap up ourselves. Seeing who we can go right into for our Twitch friends. But if you have any last minute questions about the elemental part of our discussion, elemental witchcraft, by all means, or if you want to claim one of the forks, I think there's two, the one that I have here and then one more. Now you're gonna have everyone going around tuning forks in the store. You know what though? There's been times where we've had really troubled customers that after they left, I'm just walking around with the fork like ting.
It's like if she's using it, something was up because she doesn't even like the sound.
Using the vibration.
Yep.
Just getting back up where we need
to
be. And it's less obvious, right? Because I'm just like, if the person's sitting in their car facing the window,
just sees
all
staging.
I'm like, that's just kind of
a little rude. Let's not.
Just start playing with the tuning forks.
Yeah.
Just demonstrating sound therapy is all we're doing.
Exactly. Also, too, if you have a question that like doesn't occur to you until later, or if you're ever in the store, think I'm the only blonde employee, so I'm the one. So I'm here a lot. Just ask me. No such thing as a stupid question either. Or if you like don't claim it now and then wanted to find something later on that we talked about, one of the books, whatever it is, let me know and we can get that taken care of too. So.
Yeah, and feel free to send whispers, chats, messages, whatever platform.
Especially if you have ideas for stuff that you want to hear us talk about. We're always open to hearing what you guys are interested in. We want to make sure what we're talking about, there are people who want to listen. So, just let us know and we will make sure to hit those subjects too.
So for our friends on Twitch, I think we're going to go over to DJ Descent. I've been listening to him low grade all morning. He makes the old goth girl in me happy. So if you're a fan of some industrial goth type music, I think that's where we're going to go. But yeah, we do these chats every Friday about 1-ish. Sometimes it's 1:05, sometimes it's 1:10. But that's on time for us. Deliberate. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you guys all next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.